Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first video in a small series that I'm going to be making about making add-ons in Better Than Wolves, or for Better Than Wolves, I should say. So in this video here, we're going to be talking about how to set up your workspace. So the first thing that we're going to have to do, and we'll move kind of quickly, so feel free to pause the video at any time and go back to hear what I said over again. And we're going to search in Google for IntelliJ IDEA. We're going to see, make sure it's from jetbrains.com, and I'm going to hit download. Over here you can see the Ultimate Edition that is paid. If you want the free version, you can download the Community Edition right here. This is the edition that I have. And then once it's downloaded, you can just go ahead and open it up and install it. Other than that, you'll also want to open up the Better Than Wolves community GitHub. You'll see it looks like this here, and you'll want to open Better Than Wolves Gradle Fabric example, and you'll want to open Better Than Wolves Source. If you don't have access, to Better Than Wolves Source, you are going to go into content creation, and you're going to request for access to the source. You're going to say, hey, I would like access to the Better Than Wolves source. My GitHub username is, and then your GitHub username. And eventually one of the admins will get back to you and they will approve your access to Better Than Wolves source. So you want to make sure you have both of those open. You're going to go ahead and hit this code button and you're going to hit download zip. You're going to do that for both of these. And as soon as they're, oh, it's the wrong one. Okay, I just fell into one of the first traps. So one of the first things you'll notice is this little branch tag right here. Now, that little branch tag lists all the different, I guess you could say, versions or different builds or test environments that they've made for Better Than Wolves. A branch is similar to a fork, but within the project itself, and it's mostly either used to test other features, like you see here. I can't show you too much because most of it is private, or to store previous versions. As you can see here, you want to make sure that you have the BTW 1.5.2 branch selected for now, because the dev environment for 1.6.4 is not available. I'll be making a video guide on that as soon as that is available. So once you're here, you're going to click the code button again and download zip. Once they're downloaded, you're going to open both of them. And once they pop up, we can focus on IDEA for a bit. So you're going to get the installer. It looks a little like this. Once you accept the admin prompt, you hit next. Here, I'm going to uninstall my old version. That will be if you have an old version. That will not come up if you're installing this for the first time. And then it's going to ask you to choose the location. I usually like to leave that as default. And then it asks you to choose a couple of other options. So the ones that I mainly like to pick are the desktop shortcut, because I like to be able to access it easily. I like to add the bin folder to path, but that does need a PC restart, so I'm not going to do that for the sake of this tutorial. And I have my reasons for it. If you don't have a reason to do it, I don't see a reason to do it. You can always do it later. I add open folder as project to the context menu. Essentially what that is let's say I'm in here, Better Than Wolves tutorial mod. I can show more options and I get, where is it? it's not working for me, so I probably do need to do this. So that we'll test after this, and then create association. So essentially, if I ever try to open a Java file, a Gradle file, Groovy file, KT, KTS, or Palm file, it will automatically open with IDEA. I'm gonna go ahead and install that. With these here, I'm gonna want to find a clean folder. I'm in here. I want to name it my mod name, so I've named it tutorial mod. I put it on my alternate drive. I'm going to want to extract the entirety of BTW Gradle Fabric Example Master. Just grab all of this and copy it in here. I can go ahead and close this out now. Next, I'm going to want to go into SRC within my tutorial mod folder, Better Than Wolves, Java, and I'll see that it says place Better Than Wolves sources here. If I go into resources, it's going to say the same thing, but for resources. So the way that you do this is you're going to open your source zip. It'll look like this. You'll go in this folder, SRC, and then you can just copy this folder right into your SRC, and the first major task is completed. So you can go ahead and start that process. By this point, we're just waiting for both of these to complete. You could go ahead and close your web browser. And I'm going to go ahead and run IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. And yours will not look like this when you first open it up. When you first open it up, it's going to have nothing, absolutely nothing. So let me see if I can, that's just gonna, yeah, that just did what I thought it would. Let me just open up IDEA. That's my bad. So when you open it up, it's gonna have nothing, but what you're gonna wanna find is the open project button. You hit this open project button, you make sure that this has finished. And then you're going to want to find the folder that you put your example mod in. So for instance, for me, it is, where is it? It is not there. Right here, BTW tutorial mod. So this would be my project folder. I would hit OK, and it would open up the project. The other way that you can do it is if you did add that context menu addition that I showed you earlier, you should be able to open folder as IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition project. If you've never used IntelliJ before, this is probably the easiest way to open it, is to just go into the folder that you need. Right click, show more options if you're in Windows 11, and then open the folder in IDEA. I'm just going to go ahead, close that for now. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So, over here we can find a few things. If you wanted to check out the official Better Than Wolves source, you could look at it all here. If you want to check out any of their official resources, you could find it here. I'm not going to play with that folder too much for now because I can't get into it too much. I'm going to automatically allow the Defender configuration. So next we want to edit Gradle.properties. So the first thing is you want to put the project name. In this case, I'm going to put tutorial mod. In your case, you'd want to put the actual name of your mod. The mod version. So for instance, if this is the very first version of your mod and it's in very early alpha, you might want to put 0.1.0, or if it's your first release version and you're ready to distribute it to the public, you might want to do 1.0.0. The way that semantic versioning usually works is major, minor, patch. So if I did a major update, I would increase this from 1 to 2. If I did a minor update, I would increase this from 1 to 2. If I did a patch, I would increase this from 1 to 2. So for instance, for now, I'm going to put 0.1.0 because this is a very early test. I'm going to do the group, which is going to be com.itlesports. Oh wait, not .com. It's fine to leave it as the default if you don't own a domain, but I own a domain, so I like to name it like that. You could also really name it whatever you wanted, and that wouldn't make a difference, but you do have to remember it for later as it is important. And for the archive's base name, I like to rename it from Fabric Example Mod to Tutorial Mod. Make sure to use the same formatting. So no capitals here, no capitals anywhere if you can avoid it. The next thing that you'll want to do after editing Gradle.properties is you'll want to hit this little load Gradle changes icon that appears. You're going to see it's going to start working in this little build menu. You can see it working here. You're going to see a bunch of errors. Don't really worry about those for now, because that just means that things aren't being done right. And I'll show you how to fix that. You used to have to edit build.gradle, and you used to have to put this flag right here, but I recently updated it so you don't have to do that manually, so you shouldn't have to touch build.gradle on newer versions now, unless you need to, for instance, where is it, add a dependency. So once that whole build process finishes, we're going to open this little elephant menu here. Actually, before we do that, let's show you a bit about the SRC. So open SRC, open main. That's going to be where most of your code goes. So this is your Java files and your resource files. You don't want to be modifying the Better Than Wolves source. Remember not to touch that file. So here we can see the example add-on. So Better Than Wolves community, all that is very similar to the group name right here. You can actually change that completely if you want. There is no problem in doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click where it says example here, and I'm going to refactor, rename. I'm going to change the whole thing to the same formatting I had before, com.itlesports, as you see here, dot tutorial mod, like that. Now you'll see that new folder appeared with tutorial mod here, and I can now remove the Better Than Wolves and community folders. I'm going to go ahead and refactor rename tutorial add-on. And I'm also going to open this fabric folder, and I'm going to refactor this from example to tutorial mod. I'm going to change the mixin from example mixin to tutorial mixin. I'm going to change example mod to tutorial mod again, and I'm going to change the example pre-launch initializer to tutorial pre-launch initializer. Of course, you'd want to use your actual mod name. In this case, my mod name is tutorial mod, so I'm calling it tutorial mod. And if you click on any of these files, you'll notice a bunch of red pops up, and that might scare you, and you might think, oh my god, is there already errors? I haven't even started adding anything yet. There's not actually. Don't be scared. So that's what this little elephant menu was for that I was talking about earlier. You're going to open it. This is your Gradle menu. This is where you can run a whole bunch of different tasks. So you're going to expand tutorial mod where it says here, or your mod name in this case. Open the tasks menu and look at build. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to run build dependents. And you're just going to let that run for a moment. Once build dependence is run, you're going to click this little reload all Gradle projects button. And then once that's finished, hold on. You still have a bunch of errors. What did I do? Oh, no, they're gone. Sorry, it just took a moment to refresh. I didn't change anything else. Okay, so we're all good here, but we can see that a couple of things are still wrong. So you can see in this tutorial mod file, or tutorial add-on file, if you read it, you'll see that the add-on name is example name, but we don't want it to be example name, we want it to be tutorial mod. And version 0.1.0 is correct. Looks like there's nothing else we would need to change here. Next, we're going to move on to the tutorial mixin. Everything here looks perfectly fine. This is an example of a mixin. So you can see that this prints a line example by an example mod mixin. I'm going to say it's a tutorial mod mixin, and you're going to see where this change comes in later. Next, over here in the tutorial mod initializer, you're going to see it has a log message that says hello fabric world, and I'm just going to change it to hello from the tutorial mod. And again, I'll show you where that comes in later. You could also uncomment this to make it a little more clear which mod wrote error, info warnings, and errors. But for now, I'm just going to leave that commented. We won't need it for now, as this is just a setup guide. Next, we have the pre-launch initializer. Shouldn't be anything that you really need to change here for now. And next, we want to get into the resources folder. So over here, you see the mod ID folder with the icon. This will be the icon that pops up in the Prism launcher when you go to load the mod. So next, you'll see fabricmod.json, and you'll see ID mod ID. And you'll actually want to change this. And whatever you change this to, you will have to remember. And you want to make sure it's all lowercase. The name, you'll change to the name of your mod. The description, you'll change to the description of your mod. The author is going to be your name. The home page, if you have one, is going to be your homepage, so I'm going to write that in there. And then if you had a GitHub repo, which I'm going to show you how to set up in the next video, you would put that here. You're going to see that you have a couple of errors in this file. Next, you're going to want to change where it says net.fabric.example to whatever you changed it to earlier. So for me, it's tutorial mod. And you can see it's net fabric MC tutorial mod. And for me, it's tutorial pre-launch initializer in tutorial mod. And you can see that there. So that will fix that file. The next thing you'll see is mod id.mixins. You'll also want to change this to your mod ID. And you'll see that that will error, so we can go ahead and refactor it to be the same as our mod ID. Once you have all that listed and figured out, the next thing that you are going to want to oh wait, that's what you're taking care of for me. Okay. That actually should be it. All you should need to do now is run build. Now, in your release folder, you'll see that you have tutorialmod.jar. So this is the jar that you would actually give people to play your mod. So for instance, I'm going to put it on my desktop. Where'd it go? Here it is. So you can see tutorialmod.jar. And what I can do is I can now take Prism, and if I edit my Better Than Wolves instance, I can add file, desktop, tutorial mod. I can launch the game, and if we read the log here, you'll need to get really used to reading the logs to find different bits of information, as I don't think there's a dedicated add-on menu, at least from what I've seen. But you'll see tutorial mod version 0.1.0 initializing. We changed that earlier. This line is printed by a tutorial mod mixin. If we hadn't changed that, it would say example mod mixin. And it says found add-on, tutorial add-on. So it found our add-on as well. So that means that it loaded our add-on correctly and the game launches with our add-on. So now if, for instance, I were to load into my creative world and I get the little text where it says what add-ons I have, you'll see it says I have tutorial mod v 0.1.0. So from here, you could go ahead and start coding if you know how to do that. If not, you'll have to wait for future tutorials where I teach you how to add blocks, items, mobs, and work with mixins to change different aspects of the game. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you all have a great day.